investing in people in the long term, there has to be a mutual understanding.
Hustle hard. Close mouths don't get fed. Thinking strategically, but acting like a gorilla is the kind of marketing that's small for the planet. Innovate very little. It's highly risk averse. It indicates the
All right, so let's talk about Best Buy, and let's talk about its vision. Let's talk about its purpose, its strategy, and its mission. So it said, maybe one of you can guess, if you were to work for Best Buy, what do you think the purpose of Best Buy is? It says here to enrich lives through technology. So enrich, wow, great word. Simple, enrich lives through technology. And so why does Best Buy exist? We exist to enrich lives through technology. Notice they don't say sell electronics, operate retail stores, maximize shareholder value. It's to enrich lives through technology. So if you really dig down, why do I exist? I exist to know God and make him known. I exist to be a good father. I exist, like, there has to be something more than just to teach leadership. Like, I exist to teach leadership. What if I no longer can talk? Should I no longer exist? Like, there needs to be more to it than that. And so Best Buy captures that to enrich lives through technology. It's a little bit more open-ended. So that's Best Buy's purpose. And it really starts with purpose. Why do we exist? And sort of sounds fluffy and foo-foo, like, we enrich lives through technology. I mean, the reason that it's going to make sense soon, because we'll boil down to mission. And it's also, again, a leadership tactic, and being positive and talking about leadership, defining purpose is very important. But good comment, Juan. That's understandable. So now we think, all right, we have a purpose. We enrich lives through technology. Now we have to close our eyes, and this is a big deal with class tonight, is, are we capable of seeing? It's one thing to see into the present. Like, I can look out the window and I'm present with you all right now, but it's a different thing to envision the future. Like, what does the future look like? And if we can cast a vision, if you really close your eyes, okay, what are we trying to strive for? A desired future state. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to have a happy relationship and you want to get married and have kids. What does that look like? Articulate that in your mind. And as a leader of an organization, as a team, the skill can be practiced to be able to close one's eyes and say, hey, in the future, soccer team, I envision us winning the World Cup, standing on that podium at the World Cup in 2027, I believe it starts. And we are going to hoist up that trophy as the champions of the entire world. I'm representing Argentina, by the way, in this conversation. As Argentina is going to be primero, number one in the World Cup this year. And I envision that. There's blue and white stripe, the Messi, and this, man, I just see these folks winning the World Cup. Can you envision that? The desired future state. Don't debate me on the whole Argentina thing. But so a vision is a picture of a better future. Also compelling, also sort of salesy. And can anybody, well, I'll just kind of throw it out there. For Best Buy, the vision was a world where technology meaningfully improves people's lives. We see a world where technology is not looked at as the enemy, but it's looked at as an instrumental tool to help people live. That's the vision we have here at this organization. Can you see that? And so that's the power of vision. And I can go on and on with being able to articulate that vision. I'm going to ask you all to do that with your project plans tonight, and to see if maybe some people can't see it. Your job as leader is to get them to see it, because that's what we're striving towards. It's not going to be easy to win the World Cup. Let me tell you something. It is one of the biggest challenges in the world. And there's a high likelihood we're going to come across many conflicts along the way. But I do see it. And I have to keep reminding people of it so that we can make it through these obstacles. That's vision. And so moving from vision now to mission. The mission is more daily work, the task we have to do, the mission that I have to do tonight to act in a compelling way, to be able to not only articulate what vision, purpose, and strategy and mission is, but also to model it with you all, to get you all to see how these things can be enacted in life. They can be enacted in conversations. And so mission is the daily task. Creating the slideshow, doing the class, making sure you all are aligned with your assignments. For Best Buy, the mission is provide products. Obviously, this is now we're addressing what Juan said. This is more practical. Provide products, expertise, and services that help customers make the most of technology. What do? What's our mission? Well, every day we have to provide products. Every day we have to provide some kind of service. We're working with customers, and we're trying to help them make the most of these products that we have. If we can do that really, really, really well, and we can do it consistently, and that powerful purpose, the reason why we exist, is going to compel us, we could achieve that vision. That's a key part to see how mission, when enacted often, ties into achieving the vision. So if we don't have the right mission, meaning if we're doing the wrong things missionally, there's a high chance we won't achieve our vision. So that's how mission and vision are sort of achieved. That's how vision is achieved, by making sure the mission is accomplished on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So we got purpose, we got vision, we have mission. So now let's look towards strategy. So now let's look towards values. So values, okay, so this journey to win the World Cup, Argentina, our team, you're all on my team. We got a team here. We're a squad. Between now and then, we're going to have to behave in certain ways that we're going to have to understand. There's going to be conflict, essentially. But we're going to have to, some people are going to quit. Some people are going to act unhumble. Some people are going to act humble. Some people aren't going to quit. Some people are going to work harder than others. Some people are going to be offended. Some people are going to not be offended. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. So if we can set some boundaries and parameters on values of how we behave along the way, that's really going to help us, because we can say, hey, here's some things that we believe in, values that we believe in, of how when we act these things out, it's going to be more missional. It's going to help us achieve our vision, and it's going to help us identify more with our purpose. So what are Best Buy's values? So Jolie emphasized customer obsession. Amazon emphasizes that often. Jeff Bezos has a video about being obsessed with the customer. So we value the customer. We value caring a lot about the customer. How do we behave here at Best Buy? Well, we obsess over the customer. We're humble. Humility is one of our values. Learning is one of our values. If we don't know something, we want to learn it. We want to ask other people. If the customer knows something we don't know, we want to inquire. How'd you do that? How'd you learn that? How did you know that product was over here? What website did you go to? Respect, important. Collaboration and employee empowerment. These are the values that Best Buy operates with in order to execute on their daily missions, weekly missions, monthly missions, so that their vision can be achieved. And we do it all. It's going to be very hard to do it, but here's why we exist. We exist to enhance the world with technology, or whatever they said. So how we behave is our values. And then one of my favorites, which we will get to at some point, is strategy. So great. Thank you so much. And I love Juan's comment about like, oh, it sounds like fluff to me. Like, oh, great. All these great, wonderful words about how we treat each other and this wonderful vision that we have and this purpose of why we exist. Awesome. Strategy is how will we get there? What are the tactics and what are the resources? What are the competencies? What are the things we do on a regular basis? And how do those things that we do fit into and aim towards our vision? And what do we have? And how do we do this? So, all right. So the purpose is not strategy. The vision isn't strategy. The strategy was a set of choices. I forget his name already. But he says we cannot beat Amazon on being Amazon. That's an awesome quote. We can't beat Amazon on being Amazon. So what did the CEO and the leader do strategically in that video in order to win? Move the incentive for customers to showroom, with that concept called showroom is just taking pictures of things and buying it elsewhere, and buy elsewhere. So we're going to match prices. So if you can see it better elsewhere, we're going to match it. What else? Had as a brick and mortar place, it was a resource. So how are we going to use this thing differently? Using it as fulfillment centers. That's a great example. The other one I heard was store within a store partnerships. Partnerships with whom? Killing it. And the reason why, because they may not have as big of a retail footprint. So they're using their physical stores. What does Apple not have? Apple has stores, but maybe don't have as many. Samsung doesn't have many stores. I mean, when's the last Samsung store you've seen? Microsoft, not as many stores, maybe in malls. Sony doesn't have stores. So what is Best Buy to say? Come bring your products here. We'll sell them for you. That's partnerships. That's strategic. Anything else strategically? So how about Geek Squad? Geek Squad, they really kind of threw Geek Squad expansion down, provide services Amazon couldn't easily replicate. Geek Squad being one of them. That's true. So I'll just tell a brief story. When I purchased my laptop, it was a big purchase for me. It's not every day I buy a laptop. It's been 5 years since I bought my last laptop, and I wanted to do it right. But I needed a laptop with certain specifications because I wanted it to be a 5-year laptop. And so Best Buy didn't have the specifications I needed. I needed a little bit more robust of a laptop. And so what did I do? I was like, where else can I buy this? And so I talked to my agent, my AI partner, and ask it a series of questions. I was like, where should I purchase this thing? And it coached me to say, stick with Best Buy. Like I could buy it on Amazon. I could find it on some other retail. I could drive to this other store, which was like way up in, Hialeah or something like that. I wasn't going to drive all the way up there. So I purchased it on Best Buy's website, and Best Buy has wonderful warranties. They did a great job communicating with me. It was as if I was buying it on Amazon. The experience was a little different because I had to create a new username and password and all that kind of stuff, but they did a really good job and I trusted them. And so I went into the store, they didn't have what I needed, and I went and purchased it online with Best Buy. The company, the corporation of Best Buy still got my money. And so it was a pretty good experience, and I'm currently using the laptop now as I'm talking to you all. So that's the deal. And if something went wrong with the laptop, I don't have to deal with Amazon shopper or a seller. I go to Geek Squad, my Best Buy here in Homestead, and I talk to them about it. So that's a real thing, especially when it comes to technology, people who are not experts. So this other one is omni-channel experience. So buy online, pick up in store, return anywhere, get support everywhere. So I just articulated, before I even read that, my omni-channel experience and my need to use a multitude of different channels. Like I can use it online, but I also want to go to the store, and maybe I'm on vacation or maybe I'm working and I'm working in a different state. I go to a local Best Buy with my computer and I know that they're going to support me there. So that's using multiple different store locations, using the online platform. I'm an omni-channel purchaser in that sense. I'm not sure what other channel I could purchase in, 2 channels, I guess. And then, of course, the other strategic thing that the CEO did, which I heard this wonderful story. I was teaching in prison, and this gentleman in prison, he actually worked for Best Buy for 10 years. And he said that what they were encouraged, initially they were commissioned to sell things as salespeople on the floor. And this I guess new CEO totally changed that thing around. I said, listen, you are not commissioned to sell. You don't have to sell anything. Your goal is to simply showcase the products. I want you, all of you, to be experts on all of these products. And I want to coach you and teach you about these laptops and these devices and how they work. And we want to train you up, because all you are is an educator. You're just a facilitator of knowledge. You're not selling products. You're selling your expertise and knowledge about the products. And if they don't want that product, then they don't want the product. It's not the right thing for them. So figure out what the consumer wants. Figure out if there's a product that they might be able to have, and just coach them on it. And he said that this concept of getting away from that aggressive salesmanship in the stores and being empowered to learn more about this technology and to be encouraged to learn more about the technology. And he had fun working in these stores. It was enjoyable to him. He would learn new things every day. And that kind of curious, inquisitive mind captivated the staff members and engaged the employees. And that didn't just happen. This is the whole point of the conversation tonight. Tying all these ideas with business together and looking at leadership. It takes a leader to drive that employee engagement. It takes a leader to drive that kind of feeling throughout an organization. So that's what employee engagement really is. So that's strategy. And it will define a little bit more of these. So here's another visual. What is purpose? Or why purpose? Can anybody, just in your own words, now tell me, after we talk about purpose, what is purpose? I've said it a few times. It really comes with a question. What does purpose answer? But again, the question is, why do we exist? Why are we here to begin with? This is a philosophical question in life, but for an organization, it doesn't have to be so philosophical. It's like, oh, we're here to cut grass and clean pools. Well, we're not really here to cut grass and clean pools. We're here to serve customers, because being service-minded is actually something I strive to become. That's why we're here. We're in the mind of service. True greatness can be found in serving others. That's why I'm cutting grass today. This drives mission. Yeah, purpose sustains everything. I mean, really, without the glue of purpose, an organization, it might be great for a year. But again, I go back to, good luck with this Dirty Jobs episodes that you see, these people pumping septic tanks. And I love it. The deemed essential people are amazing. But if you're pumping a septic tank every day, eventually you're going to end up with, all over you. And good luck going home to your wife and saying, I love what I do for a living. But if you go home to your wife saying, I have a purpose in what I do, I know what I do is important. And yes, there might be stuff on me, but I exist for more than that. That's purpose. So purpose is, why do we exist? And so, all right, the story with the janitor, I think it was a Ted Kennedy story. He was walking through the halls of NASA or something, and it was NASA. And I'm probably gonna get the story wrong, but I'll try my best. And he asked the people at NASA, what do you do? And this person over here said, well, I'm here. I'm an engineer, and I help make sure that the rockets don't fall apart when they go up in the sky. Okay, great, thank you. And then he walked up to another person, and they were a physicist, or they were physicists. And this person said, well, I do calculations, and I help people so that the calculations are right, so that the astronaut makes it up to the moon. And then he walked to another person. It was the janitor, and he asked the janitor, he said, what do you do here? And the janitor says, I help put people on the moon. And he clearly understood that, yes, I'm cleaning floors, but part of me cleaning floors is to make sure that engineer and that physicist can do what they do, and I'm a part of this operation. I have a purpose too. It's putting people on the moon. And whether you believe it or not, when I clean this floor, it is needed. It's instrumental in making sure that we get to the moon. So that's an organization that is able to bring in everybody that's a part of the organization. Every person that's a part of this process is tied into the purpose somehow. And if you can tie a personal purpose into your organizational purpose, that is a leadership tool that's enduring. And that lasts a long time. So listen, I'm giving you sort of like an introduction to business class and strategy, with leadership all kind of tied in. But I love this stuff. And I wrote a whole chapter in my book about this. And I did this with my team over the course of many years. And I'll just say, because I'm in that mind of thought, is I had to keep repeating it over and over and over again. So let me tell you something, how important it is for a leader to get in front of the people that they're leading and to repeat, this is why we exist. And we are on a mission to serve students at Miami Dade College, all different students from all walks of life. How do we accomplish this mission? Well, strategically, we have physical assets. And strategically, we have some of the most amazing, interpersonally minded and caring professors in the world. And in addition to that, we have adopted artificial intelligence strategically. And I want to make sure that we all understand that these are our core competencies, and we're very good at it. Here are our values. Here's how we behave. And here is why we exist. We exist to serve students, to help them grow intellectually, to help them achieve their dreams in life. And now let me tell you, now that I just kind of went through all that kind of stuff, let me tell you why you're here. Because there's 4 different things that we need to work on to better ourselves into the future. Like, here's my point. Say that in the beginning of meetings. Say that when you get around your people. Remind them why they're here. Remind them the mission they're on. Remind them the strategy that we talked about at the beginning of the year. Remind them how we behave. Remind them of their purpose, and remind them of the vision. Take 5 minutes. You're going to get so sick of saying it, but do it. Because believe me, it's powerful. And then get into your agenda. Because guess what? The agenda is going to be so much easier to get through once you just reminded them of all those things. Now, okay, I'm ready for the agenda now. Like, what's up? What do we need to do here? And of course, there'll be some people, which another reminder is that they don't believe in that mission and they don't believe in that strategy. And it's a good chance for you to ask them questions. Well, why not? Maybe it's not that kind of meeting, but it's also a good chance for you to look at them and say, okay, I see that you're not picking up what I'm putting down. And maybe you're not the right person to be on this bus. Maybe you need to go work elsewhere because this is core to what we do. If you don't believe in this, well, there's a whole nother conversation about how do we create this? Like, how do we come up with these things and how do we create our strategy? And this is a whole another conversation, and it should be done democratically. It should be done through a process and should be done by asking questions and listening and learning and then testing. And anyways, that's my here's another way to envision that. Here's one last one, the organization GPS. So as you can see here, the vision is at the end. Like, this is where we're going. This is our desired future state. Our strategy is our route. How will we get there? Our driving rules are our values. How we will behave while we get there. Our reason for the trip, I like this one. Our purpose is gasoline, in a sense. Why are we traveling? Like, what's gonna lead us? What's gonna get us there? Is our continuous purpose that's pumping fuel into our journey. And then our current location is our mission. I guess it's sort of, I don't know about that analogy as much. What do we do today? Like, what do we need to do today? What do we need to do tomorrow? What is our current mission that we're on? So when I go on these trips with the folks from LDR leadership, I told you that they are, a lot of them are ex-Army Rangers. So they were previously Army Rangers, veterans. They went to Iraq, Afghanistan. They served in a multitude of different ways. One person was 25 years in the Army and retired an Army Ranger at a high rank. And we use their terminologies often. I'm not as familiar with all of the different acronyms, but they use them. And every single trip or every single assignment that we go on is not a trip. It's not an assignment. It's a mission. And the mission is well defined. And the mission has parameters. And the mission has a contact person. The mission has what we're doing, like the details. And when we get the mission, I have questions about the mission, how it's going to work. And then once I know the mission is mine, I own it and I execute on it. It's my mission. I am on a mission. I don't say to my wife, and that terminology is amazing, I'm not going on a trip to wherever. I said, I have a mission to go to this organization and to execute on this particular thing. And let me tell you, that really helps me. It keeps me in prayer. It keeps me focused. It keeps me meditating on the right things. It keeps me mission minded. And so using the terminology of what mission are you on this week, today, tomorrow, and how does that mission fit into the overall vision of your organization is a powerful concept. So let me just pause there because I'm curious. Can you see how these things can be leveraged to help you become a more effective leader if you understand them and you can execute on them? I know it's a lot of different terminologies, and I know that you've probably been throwing these terminologies in the past, and I hope that what I'm talking about today gives you the purpose behind the terminologies. Get that word purpose again. So you can continue to practice them, you can continue to differentiate them and talk about them in somewhat of an educated way. And guess what? You're going to have a chance to do that tonight. So you're going to have a chance to articulate your project, the one that you're wanting to pursue, and take a stab at it. What is your mission in this project? How are you going to strategically win? How are you going to get this project done? Why does this project exist? What's the point of this project? And so isn't that fun? And then what is your desired future state? Once this project is complete, and you're envisioning yourself as Argentina standing on the World Cup platform, like, what is that vision? And so if you can try to practice that tonight as we talk to each other, I think that will be very helpful to you, and do it often. I tell this, so I plan this block party in my neighborhood, which is fun. And I have another thing that I, for whatever reason, volunteered to plan through my gym. We're going to do this like fitness competition in a park. And I was like, great. And so the block party, I had to have a vision for this thing. And I took the vision to my wife and I said, what do you think about this? Can you tear that vision apart? She said, no, it's good. It's not better, whatever. And then I went to a person I was working with to run the block party. I said, what do you think about this? And just to give you an idea, I had a vision of a bounce house. I had a vision of a DJ. I had a vision of tables and chairs. And I had a vision of me cooking on a flat iron grill for like 60 people. And so I also envisioned me going to Publix and spending like, $500, $600 at Publix on all sorts of different meat and us making the meat the night before. So it was like a lot to this vision of this block party. It was a lot of work that needed to get done and a lot of things needed to work in order to make it happen. It was successful, but I had to throw that vision out there to say, does this sound like a good party to you? Does it, and then I had to think, okay, if it's true, if that's a good vision, how am I going to execute on it? And then why does the block party exist to begin with? Like, before we even talk to the neighbors about block party, like, why are we doing this thing? Like, what's the purpose of this block party? And of course, you could see just in that planning of that event itself, it comes with a purpose. It comes with a desired future state. It comes with some missions. It comes with a mission or multiple missions. And then, of course, it has some values. How do we act along the way? I didn't really kind of bake those into my block party. But anyways, this is the idea, is to get used to doing this and get used to talking in these terms so that we can be successful in everything that we do. Dreamer, if you're just a dreamer, this is the downside of being just a dreamer, you're not actually doing a lot, right? You're just dreaming. And organizations can't be sustained just by dreamers. So on the other side here, you have to have action. So action is a person high on action but low on vision is the doer. So I'm just a doer. I'm not interested in the vision or whatever. I'm just a doer. So where does this convergence lie between the dreamer and the doer is effective leadership. So somebody that understands that dreaming has to be coupled with doing. So you're going to be high, you're going to be here, and you're going to be high on action. So where does that fit? Here. So you're high on action, boom, and you're high on vision. So this is the quadrant you're going to be in. You can't, here's my point. You can't just be a doer. I mean, you can, but it's leaders can't just be the doers, and you can't just be a dreamer. You have to be both. And being both is effective leadership. I like this visual because it points to this thing called the North Star. And candidly, I believe in life, we should always have this high aim. And as leaders, certainly we should always be aiming for something more. I've had seasons in my life on a personal level where I struggled with catching a new vision. Without a vision, the people perish. Like I needed to see myself in a new place. Like there was so much transition happening. And I mentioned my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, and there was a transition with the organization. And, we moved from Dadeland down to Homestead, and, I was building a new company, and I was searching for like, where do I fit in here? And it was hard in that season to have that North Star. And then I caught it. And when I caught it, and things started kind of clicking in, and I started getting on the same page with my wife, I started setting goals, and having that North Star is very helpful in my personal life. It is the same thing with an organization. It's the same thing with a team. We have to have that. We have to have those goals. And that's what I said when we get in front of our people. We have to remind them about what we're doing and why we're here. So we're moving towards a desired future is a vision. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to be. If we stay the course, especially nowadays in leadership, can't be more pertinent than now. We have to understand that the way in which we do business, this organizational singularity, don't ask me to define that, but things are coming together where we're going to be building organizations that just look different. The hierarchy is going to look different. The organizational charts are going to look different. The jobs report last Friday, the stock market actually went down oddly because of this. And the reason why the stock market went down last Friday is because the hopes of an interest rate cut, meaning the economy is not doing so well, so they need to cut the interest rates to stimulate borrowing, was much less because the economy is doing great. They added 165,000 more jobs, which is twice as much as people were expected. And therefore, the chances of the Fed cutting the interest rates actually diminished. The Fed might even increase interest rates to slow down the economy and slow down inflation a little bit because of the robustness of the economy. So kind of my point of saying that is kind of where are we at now? And where are we at now is things are going to look different in the future. I'm a pro AI person, but the truth of the matter is utilizing these technologies is really groundbreaking, and we've just kind of touched the surface of it, and it's gonna have an effect, whether it be good or bad. You get the idea. So we have to champion these kinds of conversations throughout our organization to live and deliver. Wow. So that they're using it's creative in a way. Feeding America is an America where no one is hungry. That's their vision and purpose statement. Patagonia, in business to save our home planet. Mars is a chocolate company. The world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. Starbucks, to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Powerful. PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, to build trust in society and solve important problems. Nordstrom, a clothing retailer, to give customers the most compelling shopping experience possible. One of my favorites, if you look it up, is Legos. And if in the back of my mind, it's to inspire and educate the builders of tomorrow. And think about Legos and think about how Legos has changed over the last however many years you've been alive. And I'm sure Legos has touched your life in some way or another. And it's still relevant. I mean, there's still the Legos movies and the Legos video games. And it's because of their purpose and their vision to inspire and educate the builders of tomorrow, something like that. And what does that look like? Well, it doesn't just look like these little blocks that are left on the floor at night so parents step on them and really hurt their legs. It's more than that. It's about inspiring builders of tomorrow. We can't just have artists and musicians in society. If everyone was an artist musician, there wouldn't be cars and buildings and air conditioning. I mean, plumbing. I mean, we need these things too. And I love artists and musicians. It's a great place for artists and musicians in society. I am drawn towards this, but I understand that we also need to build stuff. And Legos understands that too. And that helps them get through these fundamental changes in the world and in society. I like achievement. I see someone says conservation. I like achievement. I like respect. I like freedom. I like them all. But in some way, and we've done this already with our values, we have to look at these. We have to put these in order in some way. We can't do them all. I mean, maybe we can. I love this agency, having more agency for oneself versus integration. Having agency is being able to operate more freely, more doing what I want to do, versus integration is helping, being a part of society, being a part of other things and integrating into what is. And then you got others focused, which is on this side here. It looks like these things are more others focused, caring, tradition, and equality and justice, versus enjoyment, freedom, and achievement are more self-focused. And then again, agency is caring, conservation, and achievement would be agency. And more integration is enjoyment, stability, and equality and justice. So you can see how these things change. And so an organization can't pick everything. We can't prioritize all of this stuff. The power of a strong mission. This is just a survey. Good visual. Percentage of employees who are engaged with work. And then here at the bottom is agree that the company's mission makes their job important. So the blue graph, the blue bar represents people that believe in their mission, essentially, versus the people who disagree that the company mission makes their job important. So either the mission is irrelevant or the mission isn't something that they resonate with. So the power of mission essentially shows that when people agree that the company mission makes their job important, you can also see that they're also more engaged at work. They also say that they are paid appropriately. They also plan to be with the company 1 year from now. I mean, so with this visual, if everything I said doesn't make sense subjectively, but it seems to be that employees resonate with these concepts. The mission matters. Look at this. Plan to be with the company for more than a year. Well, people who disagree that the company mission makes their job important, well, they're 27%. That means, 70% are like, I'm probably going to quit within a year. Yeah. But the people who agree that the company mission makes their job important, 82% of them say, yeah, of course I'm going to be here in a year. 18% of them say, I'm not going to be here. But most of them that agree that the company mission makes their job important, these are leaders that trumpet the mission. They're the chief repeating officers. Here's our mission. Here's our mission. Here's our mission. Here's why we do it. Here's what we do. All this kind of stuff, and remind the employees, and the employees resonate with that. Clearly, it makes a difference. Would recommend their company at a place to work, as a place to work. If somebody wants to get hired within an organization you work for, and like a friend comes to you and says, hey, I just got offered a job at your company, and I start next week, and you're like, oh boy, let me tell you, I'd probably reject that offer. People would say that. And so as opposed to being like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing for you. You're going to love this company. I can't wait till you start. You're going to love it here. Here's why you're going to love it here. Who's your leader? Oh, that leader's great. These are fundamentally different conversations that people have. And it matters. So, all right, AFLAC's mission and values. AFLAC pledges to be there for our policyholders in their time of need. I love that. And if you might recognize that, because AFLAC is very good at what psychologically, not manipulating, but psychologically getting into the consumer's mind. They have pretty good marketing. And so maybe you've heard that before. AFLAC's policy is to combine innovative strategic marketing with quality products and services at competitive prices to provide the best insurance value for customers. By building better value for our shareholders, supplying quality services for our agents, providing an enriching and rewarding workplace for our employees. Leaders of AFLAC, memorize this, speak about these. Why are they important? Why do we do this? What do these words mean? Dissect these words. There's, again, I'm a man of faith, and there are scriptures that I abide in. And when I say abide is a powerful word. Like I meditate on them, one line, and I say, oh my gosh, to live is Christ, to die is gain. Like, well, let me talk about that for a second. Like, let's dig into what does that mean? Why does it mean that way? How do I make this a part of who I am as a person? It's the same thing for organizations like this. We have to know, like, what does we pledge? Oh, wow, that's a big word. We pledge to be there for our policyholders. Like I make signing a pledge, like I pledge allegiance to the flag. Like that's way more than saying, oh, we are there for our policyholders, or we hope to be there for our no, we pledge to be there. What does it mean to be there, leaders? And then how can we articulate to people, what does it mean to be there? Be there online, be there in person, if they call you at night, this is what it means to be there for what are policyholders? How can we define policyholders in their time of need? Give me some examples of times of needs. If I'm running a meeting, I'm asking my people this. I'm saying, well, tell me a story about a policyholder that had a time of need, and how were you there for them? Let's share those stories in our organization. Let's reward that kind of behavior. This is a backbone to the strategic decisions. This is leadership. This is what leaders have to memorize and talk about as much as possible. It's inspirational framework when you reflect on some of these leaders that one might consider to be heroes and think about their lives.